Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about a very important and spicy topic. I know that for many of you, if you are from Russia, obviously many of them, well, if they're not watching anyway, are going to get a little bit like offended, and probably many of you are going to, just say basically that I am a foreigner, that I don't have the right to talk about it, that I don't know anything about Russian history. And believe me, many people have already told me that I don't have the right to talk about Russian history, that I shouldn't give my opinion because they know more than me anyway. But I think that if I have a mouth, if I have eyes to read, then information. Now let me tell you something. First of all, I think that I'm not going to say that I am a historian. I'm not going to say that I know more than anyone. But what I want to clarify is that history is not something that, it's not that you need like a license or like a right to talk about. You just read it and you know it. Even Russians, many of them don't know about their own history. But I like to read and I like to discuss. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is because I find it very interesting the way the Russians called Siberia. So basically for them, Siberia is not a colony. Siberia is just territory. But if you actually see what England, Spain, Portugal, and France did, it's actually not that different from what they did. Now, they say that it's just basically territory, and that Siberia is the result of the expansion of the Russian Empire that began basically in the 1700s, more or less like around that time, with Peter the Great. Now, the Russia that we know right now, like basically nowadays, is not the Russia that used to be at that time. Because in the 1700s, Russia would look more or less like this. So with this man is when the real story began. So before this man, there were other people like basically Ivan IV, and he was like the Prince of Moscow. Now at this time of history, basically, everything was just surrounding like Moscow, and it wouldn't go beyond the Urals. Now, let me tell you something. Why I don't accept that they call Siberia a territory and not a colony? So I just would like to say that in the same way that England, Spain, Portugal, and France, in the same way that they colonized these places in America and in Africa and in like Australasia and in Asia, basically in all of the continents, I think, in the same way that they did it, Russia did it. Why? Because I was reading here, and in basically the place, so this is like the website, it's called Russia Beyond. They say that Russia, Siberia is not a colony, and this is what is written there. Unlike the British territories in North America, Siberia was not a colony. Russia did not divide its territories along such lines. The region just became part of the expanding Russian Empire. So I suppose, so basically I don't know what Spain and England mainly, and France and Portugal were like trying to do in America. Maybe they were not like worried about the fact that they just basically wanted to call them colonies and not territories. Really? Now here it says that basically the Siberian tribes fought fiercely against one another, and many of them accepted Russian rule as a way of avoiding further bloodshed. Now anyway, Now, this is very interesting. Here, basically, we are talking that these tribes, they accepted the Russian rule. Now, in all of the colonies around the world, that's what happened, basically. Like, for example, again, like Spain in America, or like England, because obviously the empire was under the name of like England and not like Britain anyway. Portugal and France, so all of them were just colonies, so they imposed their rule in these new territories in America and in other parts of the world. Anyway, it says the further east the Cossacks explorers went, the more resistance they faced from those groups who wanted to preserve their independence. Once again, independence. And here it says that in 1742, the Tsar of this time basically he issued a decree. It was to attack basically the Russells, Chukchi, so that was the name of the tribe in Siberia, with armed hand and eradicate them completely. That reminds me of, I don't know, maybe America, maybe Australia, maybe South America. So yes, it's not a colony, definitely. Anyway, let's continue reading. But to be honest with you, I don't know who wrote this text, but because they contradict themselves. Because obviously the Tsar said that they had to eradicate the whole tribe, eradicate them, kill them, exterminate them, extinguish them. But here it says, like native groups in other parts of the world, the indigenous people of Siberia were vulnerable to diseases brought by the Russian explorers. The new illnesses weakened and demoralized the indigenous population. Historian John Richard wrote that they destroy 80% of the Tungusic people. Anyway, it's very difficult to read these words. And 44% of the Yukagir or Yukagir people. Anyway, then I'm going to write the name of these tribes because obviously it's kind of different. I'm not used to be reading this like, no, oh my goodness, how can I say, unusual names, letters. Anyway, nevertheless, it says, the aim of Russia's expansion was not to genocide or enslavement of the Siberian people, but to impose a tribute on them and include them in the new lands in the Russian Empire. So they wanted to include these people in the new lands of the Russian Empire. Wait a minute. Before the Russians, who was there then? These people, obviously. So how is it possible that they were going to be included when they were already there? Anyway, that's so stupid. Now, anyway, I don't want to make this thing too long. Obviously, I'm not going to be talking about the whole history of Siberia. But after reading all this, I want to give my personal opinion. I don't want to offend anyone. Now, please don't get offended. Just accept other people's way of thinking, ideas, and etc. But what I think is, if you impose your own rules, religion, if you bring people from a different country, from the country that is conquering the other country or territory or whatever, then this is a colony, my dear. I mean, if you bring religion, once again, if you bring a new rule, new religion, new language, and if people from other parts of the world, from the country that is conquering another country, if all these people come to live they come to live in a place like what the Brits and the Spaniards and people from Portugal and France did in America, Africa, and other parts of the world, then this is called a colony, then with all the due respect, for me, Russia is only until the Urals. I'm going to tell you why. Because if the Russian Empire hadn't finished, for example, in 1912, when Lenin and all these people decided to kill the Tsar, then basically all these Central Asian countries, like undeveloped countries, and Ukraine, Belarus, and etc., all these territorious countries, they wouldn't have been like able to call themselves countries because they were within the empire. Now, once the empire went from being called an empire to be basically the Soviet Union, these countries were members of the Soviet Union. However, in 1991, when the Soviet Union basically stopped being the Soviet Union, all these countries, they managed to live like the Soviet Union, then they became independent countries. So what happened with all this territory after the Urals? These people, let me clarify again, white Russians are not native to Siberia. Neither Western Europeans are native to America, Australasia, and in some parts of like Southern Africa and Asia. So if maybe I might be wrong once again, maybe I might be like misunderstanding something here. Maybe I am wrong. But as far as I am concerned, the same things that Western Europe did to the rest of the continents, it was the exact thing that Russia did to Siberia. So in my humble opinion, again, I'm not trying to impose my thoughts to anyone. In my humble opinion, Russia is only until the Urals. The rest is just basically a colony or a territory, call it however you want. But in the same way that, for example, the French Guiana, like right now, is part of France, or the Falk Islands, basically down in basically next to Argentina, are possession or like overseas territory of Britain. Then yes, that's it. The annexation of Siberia, like officially, fully was like part of like Russia. After, like it was like basically after the 1800s. Before that, they were just expeditions when they went to Siberia. So when Siberia became fully territory, a territory of the Russian Empire, it was after the 1800s. So we are talking that basically like what, like just a bit more than 300 years ago. Then my dear, I'm sorry, but Siberia is Siberia and Russia is Russia. So guys, this is the end of my video. I hope that I did not offend anyone. And I hope that you understand that there are people with different mentalities, different thoughts, different opinions. And I just wanted to give my opinion and to talk about this topic. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, give a thumbs up, and see you next time.